chosen one, lock your attention on this message right now. That quiet confidence you have been carrying this week, the one that nobody else seems to understand, stop dismissing it. The enemy has been working overtime for one reason and one reason only. He knows what activates the moment you finally see yourself clearly. It all shifts tomorrow. The second guessing, the underestimation, the silence you have been forced to keep while lesser minds spoke over you. But hear this clearly, it is not shifting because of luck. It is shifting because of what you have already done. Think back to that moment this week when you saw the solution before anyone else in the room did. When you watched everyone scramble while your mind had already mapped 3 moves ahead. You said nothing. Maybe you held it back because you were tired of not being believed. Or maybe you stayed quiet because you have learned that not every room deserves your full capacity. You thought that restraint was weakness. You thought staying small in that moment was you shrinking. That was not weakness. That was wisdom operating at a level most people will never reach. You did not find this message by accident. The algorithm did not bring you here. The Holy Spirit did. This is a divine appointment scheduled before the foundations of the earth. You are standing at a threshold where the way you think, the very architecture of your mind, is about to become your most visible and undeniable weapon. Do not leave this message. Your future self is begging you to stay, because what gets revealed in the next few minutes will permanently change the way you see your own mind. In the next few minutes, I am going to hand you the legal decree that cancels every assignment sent to make you doubt your intelligence. I'm going to walk you through the exact audit that shows you where your thinking already won battles, your emotions told you were losses, and at the end, we will seal this revelation with a declaration that locks the door on every voice that ever told you that you think too much, go too deep, or see too far ahead. Do not click away. Your future self is watching this moment. If you leave now, you walk out right before the verdict that rewrites how you see yourself forever. I know what the last 72 hours have felt like. The atmosphere has not just been heavy, it has been isolating. Like you are operating on a frequency that the people around you simply cannot receive. Maybe you were in a conversation this week where you watched someone confidently deliver an idea you had already processed, dismantled and moved past months ago. And instead of speaking, you sat there in a strange silence. Not because you had nothing to say, but because the gap felt too wide to explain. Or maybe you woke up at 3 a.m. this week with your mind running full calculations on a problem nobody else in your life even knows exists yet. Your heart was not racing from fear. It was racing because your mind never fully powers down. You feel like you exist between 2 worlds, the one everyone else is living in, and the one your mind is constantly building, deconstructing and rebuilding at a pace that leaves you exhausted and electrified at the same time. And in that space, the enemy has been whispering a very specific lie. Listen carefully to your own thoughts this week. He has been telling you that the reason you feel so alone in your thinking is because something is wrong with you. He has been replaying that moment when someone looked at you with confusion instead of understanding. That moment when your idea was dismissed before it was finished. That moment when you stopped explaining because you could see they were already lost. The accuser has been using those moments as evidence. He has been telling you that your mind is a burden, that you are too complex, too intense, too far ahead, and that because of that, connection and belonging will always be just out of reach for you. But I need you to hear what the scripture actually says about this moment. Proverbs 19:21 says, "Many are the plans in a person's heart, but it is the purpose of the Lord that prevails." Listen to that promise. It is the purpose of the Lord that prevails, not the doubts of the room, not the confusion on their faces, not the silence that followed your last great idea. Every plan your mind has been carrying, the ones too large for the conversations you have been placed in, the ones you have not spoken aloud because the ceiling was too low, those plans are not accidents, they are architecture. They are divine blueprints placed inside a mind that was specifically built to carry them. You are not too much. You are not broken by complexity. You are not isolated because of a flaw. You are isolated because of your assignment. The heaviness you feel is not the weight of being misunderstood. It is the weight of carrying revelation that has not yet found its moment. It is the pressure of a mind that is fully loaded and standing at the edge of its greatest deployment. You think those moments of silence were you shrinking. You think staying in the background while others performed with half your capacity was you losing ground. Let me reframe your reality right now. That was not retreat, that was positioning. And the God who engineered the way your mind works has never once looked at you and seen a burden. He looked at you and saw a weapon. The most dangerous kind, the kind that thinks before it strikes, sees before it speaks, and wins before the battle is even announced. That is who you are. That is what you carry. And that reckoning arrives tomorrow. And that mind of yours, the one that sees patterns others walk past, the one that connects dots in the dark, the one that keeps running even when you're exhausted, the one that perceives the whispers of the unseen. That mind wasn't given to you by accident. It was engineered by heaven, forged in the crucible of divine intention, for a specific assignment on this earth. But here is what nobody told you, what the world has often tried to mask with cynicism and doubt. That same brilliance that makes you exceptional, that capacity for deep insight and far-reaching vision, is precisely the very thing that has, in so many seasons, kept you isolated, misunderstood, and quietly carrying a weight that most people around you cannot even perceive. Because when God builds a mind like yours, He doesn't just impart intelligence, He bestows a profound capacity for revelation. He gives you a burden of sight, a deep-seeing ability that can feel like an immense responsibility. And that burden, if you don't understand its divine purpose, would indeed feel like a heavy curse before it ever reveals itself as the magnificent crown it truly is. Some messages don't just inform, they activate. They resonate with a frequency deep within your soul, stirring dormant potentials and awakening dormant calling. If something profound stirred deep in your spirit just now, a knowing that transcended mere thought, you may be ready to receive the Chosen One's blueprint. This sacred guide is not merely a book. It is a map, a revelation designed to illuminate the 8 divine patterns woven through the fabric of your calling, the intricate tapestry of your suffering, and the glorious arc of your destiny. It also comes with the full audiobook, allowing you to absorb its wisdom during moments of prayer, periods of restorative rest, or those quiet, intimate moments spent communing with God. And for those of you who are called to speak His truth, to be a voice in the wilderness, you will also receive Activating Your Prophet Mantle, a powerful bonus ebook crafted specifically for those carrying a prophetic assignment, designed to empower and equip you for the declarations that must be made. The link to this transformative resource is in the first pinned comment, but this is a window of opportunity that is only open for a limited time. Think back, if you will, to every room you've ever walked into where you immediately felt the palpable undercurrent of unspoken emotion or intention, where you sensed a tension hanging heavy in the air before a single word was uttered, where you intuitively understood the complex dynamics at play, the hidden motivations driving each person, the subtle agendas lurking beneath the surface, all long before they surfaced into plain view. You didn't ask for this heightened perception. You didn't attend a workshop to hone this skill. It came with you, an innate part of your spiritual DNA. And instead of people honoring this extraordinary gift, many of them, in their fear and lack of understanding, feared it. Because people instinctively fear what they cannot control, and they could never control the depth and breadth of what you see. So they labeled you. They called you too much, too intense, too deep, too sensitive. And somewhere along the winding path of life, if you're honest with yourself, you began to internalize those labels. You started to believe the distorted reflections they cast upon you. You began to shrink the very architecture of greatness that God meticulously built within you. And that is the hidden wound, the silent erosion of spirit, that we need to address right now with profound tenderness and unwavering truth. Because this is where the layers deepen, where the subtle complexities of this experience truly unfold. It wasn't merely the spoken words, the dismissive judgments others cast upon you. It was also the profound silence that often followed your moments of brilliance, your insightful contributions. The blank stares when you shared an idea, a vision, a truth that was simply before its time for their comprehension. The profound loneliness of sitting in a crowded room, surrounded by physical presence, and yet feeling utterly, completely unseen, unheard, and unacknowledged. That silence became a powerful, often brutal message. And the message you received, etched into the core of your being, was that your mind, your unique way of perceiving and processing, was a problem, not a divine gift. So you learned to dim it, to filter it, to carefully perform a version of yourself that was more palatable, more easily digestible, more acceptably ordinary. And in doing so, in dimming your own divine light, you didn't just hide your intelligence, you buried a sacred, heaven-sent instrument meant for exquisite purpose. But here's where it goes deeper still, into a realm that often eludes our conscious awareness. Stay with me, because what's coming next will likely surprise you, shifting your perspective on the very struggles you've endured. The enemy, that ancient adversary of all things divine, doesn't waste strategic energy attacking what is worthless. He doesn't spend precious resources dismantling the ordinary. The level of spiritual warfare you have faced, the pervasive confusion, the frustrating delays, the insidious self-doubt that clings like a shadow, the relentless gnawing feeling that something vital is always just slightly out of reach. That is not random suffering, that is targeted, calibrated resistance. When the forces of darkness work this strenuously to keep a mind quiet, to suppress its unique frequency, it's because that mind, when fully awakened and fully deployed in its God-given capacity, possesses the power to dismantle entire systems that the enemy has painstakingly built and maintained over decades, even centuries. You are not under attack because you are inherently weak. You are under attack because you are a profound threat to everything that stands in opposition to the kingdom of God. Consider for a moment the profound example of Daniel. Here was a man whose mind operated on a celestial frequency, a bandwidth of divine insight that the most powerful empire in the ancient world simply could not match. The formidable Babylonian system, with all its learned magicians, its seasoned astrologers, its vast libraries of scholarly knowledge, could not compete with the luminous wisdom that God had deposited within one surrendered, obedient mind. And how did they respond to this divine brilliance? They didn't celebrate him. They didn't elevate him. Instead, they legislated against him. They actively sought to criminalize his devotion and neutralize his extraordinary influence. Because brilliance, aligned with the divine, is an intrinsic threat to every counterfeit power structure, every fabricated authority that exists in opposition to God's truth. Daniel's mind didn't just solve complex problems. It exposed the very foundations of entire kingdoms. And make no mistake, so does yours. And this leads us to a crucial insight that most people miss entirely in their journey. You have been measuring your inherent value, your worth, by the wrong standard, by a terrestrial yardstick. You have been waiting for the world around you, with its limited perspective, to validate what God, in his infinite wisdom, already confirmed and sealed within you, before you even drew your first breath. But a mind meticulously built for a kingdom assignment will never receive its full, intended validation from earthly systems, because earthly systems are not its intended audience, nor are they equipped to comprehend its divine scope. The approval you have been unconsciously, or perhaps consciously, seeking from people who were never truly equipped to understand your unique calling has been one of the most significant and pervasive delays to the full manifestation of your destiny. Coming up, we will delve into the hidden pattern beneath that pervasive hunger for approval, and why breaking free from its grip is the absolute key to unlocking everything that is meant to shift in your life. Because, truly, underneath the surface-level need for external validation lies something far more ancient and deeply ingrained. Something that was established, a foundational principle, long before the approval-seeking even began to manifest. It is a broken agreement, an internal covenant that you likely made in a moment of profound pain or deep wounding. Probably when you were young, when someone whose opinion mattered immensely to you responded to your burgeoning brilliance, your unique insights, with outright rejection, harsh criticism, or even ridicule. And in that critical moment, your young mind made a profound, albeit unconscious, decision. It concluded that being seen fully, being authentically visible, was not safe. It determined that visibility inherently leads to vulnerability, and that the safest, most protected version of yourself was the hidden one. And so, the deeply lodged, unspoken, unconscious agreement has been quietly, persistently governing the trajectory of your life ever since. You haven't just been afraid of failure, you have been profoundly afraid of being fully seen, and then, despite it all, still found lacking or inadequate. These are not the same fears, and until you name, acknowledge, and confront the one you are actually carrying, you cannot possibly break free from its pervasive hold. Breaking that deeply ingrained agreement begins with a fundamental understanding. You were never meant to be universally understood. You were divinely commissioned for a specific purpose. Elijah didn't require the approval or comprehension of the prophets of Baal to fulfill his mandate. He needed the fire of God to fall. And the fire falls not when others agree with your calling, not when your vision is validated by those who lack the capacity to see it, but when you fully, courageously step into it without requiring their prior agreement. The very moment you cease negotiating your divine assignment with people who were never part of the original blueprint, the moment you stop painstakingly translating your profound vision into language so small and diluted that it becomes comprehensible to those who were never sent to receive it, that is the precise moment your mind begins to function at the elevated, powerful level it was always designed for. But let me challenge you with something here, something that often acts as the final barrier just before the breakthrough occurs. You may have grown comfortable with the idea that you are chosen. You might have readily accepted the narrative of being different, of being misunderstood, of being intrinsically built for something more, something greater. But comfort with the identity of being chosen, without embracing the daily discipline of the chosen, becomes its own insidious form of delay. Because the extraordinary mastermind that God intricately built inside of you is not a passive gift to be admired. It is an active, dynamic instrument that requires constant cultivation, diligent consecration, and unwavering courage. The same mind that can decode intricate spiritual realities in mere seconds can also, if left undisciplined, become its own complex labyrinth. It can overthink to the point of paralysis. It can endlessly analyze to the point of complete stagnation. It can see every conceivable angle of a situation and then use that very clarity as a reason to remain still, to defer action. Intelligence, without the guiding hand of surrender, can paradoxically become its own self-imposed prison. And what is coming next is the pivotal piece, the element that truly breaks the cycle for those who are genuinely ready to hear and receive it. Here lies the divine contradiction, the paradox that many well-intentioned teachers will not reveal to you. Your greatest obstacle is not a lack of knowledge or intelligence, it is incomplete surrender. Because a mind like yours, honed by experience and built for intricate processing, has learned to rely implicitly on itself. It has been the primary force that protected you when no one else seemed capable or willing. It has been the indispensable tool that navigated you through treacherous rooms, through desolate seasons, through soul-shattering storms that should have utterly broken you. And because it has served you so faithfully, so consistently, you have, without even realizing the subtle shift, begun to place your trust in your own cognitive processing more than in the direct, unwavering voice of God. You strategize when the divine instruction is to simply be still. You calculate when the sacred command is to worship. You meticulously construct intricate exit routes when God is asking you to walk directly through the very door you've been so carefully mapping out. Your mind, that same extraordinary heaven-engineered mind installed within you, has, in certain pivotal seasons, become the very barrier standing between you and your next ordained level of advancement. Not because intelligence itself is inherently wrong, but because unsubmitted intelligence, even divinely anointed intelligence, will invariably default to the limitations of human capacity and perspective. Solomon, that paragon of wisdom, understood this profound principle, not at the twilight of his life, but at its very dawn. Before the vast empire, before the magnificent temple, before the legendary wealth and unparalleled wisdom that would become his hallmark. He stood before God in profound humility and declared, in essence, "I do not know how to carry this immense responsibility." And it was that posture, that breathtaking humility emanating from a man destined to become the wisest individual to ever walk the earth, that unlocked absolutely everything. Proverbs 3005 was not penned as mere poetic verse. It was written as an essential survival manual, a critical guide for minds like yours. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, not some of it, not the parts that have already conveniently figured out an answer or a solution. All of it, and lean not on your own understanding. Lean not even when your understanding is extraordinary, not even when it has proven remarkably accurate in previous seasons. Because the sacred calling upon your life is far too vast, far too monumental, and far too sacred to be carried solely by human genius alone, even the genius that resides within you. And now, here is the element you likely did not expect, the final crucial layer, the profound truth hidden beneath all the preceding revelations. The true underlying reason you have often felt like you are perpetually almost there, always tantalizingly close, yet never fully arriving at your intended destination, is not because you lack strategic acumen. It's not because the timing is inherently wrong. It's not even because the enemy's opposition is too overwhelming. It is because there is a part of you deep within the core of your being that does not yet fully, unequivocally believe that you deserve to arrive. Deep within the intricate interior of that brilliant mind resides a quiet, insidious voice. Not the voice of the enemy, not the echoing voices of those who doubted and dismissed you, but your own voice, subtly shaped by years of almost, not yet, and close, but not quite. This voice has been whispering a lie so subtle, so reasonable sounding that you have accepted it as simple realism. The lie is this, that people like you are adept at figuring things out, at paving the way, but people like you don't always get to rest in the fruits of what they've meticulously built. That the arduous journey is yours to undertake, but the ultimate destination belongs to others. That your primary role is to prepare the path, to clear the obstacles, but never to walk in the full, abundant realization of it yourself. That lie, quiet, logical, deeply buried within the subconscious, has been your unseen ceiling. Not your circumstances, not your external enemies, not even your unprocessed pain. That specific agreement made in the secret sacred place of your own mind has been the invisible force holding the door closed from the inside. And the moment you truly see it, not just intellectually acknowledge it, but deeply, profoundly see it with the eyes of your spirit, is the precise moment it begins to lose its suffocating power over you. You were not designed or built to prepare the grand table and then never partake in the feast. You were not ordained to unlock doors for others while remaining perpetually locked out yourself. You are not merely the bridge, you are intended to be the destination. And the God who so intricately engineered your mind, who meticulously wired your perception, who layered your divine discernment, who placed that unquenchable fire within you that refuses to be extinguished, no matter how many times life has attempted to snuff it out, that God is not preparing you indefinitely for some distant, unknown future. He is presenting you, right now, in this very season. This is not another waiting room, it is the sacred threshold. Place your hand gently on your heart and declare this truth with me, with all the conviction of your awakened spirit. I am not too much. I am not too deep. I am not too complex for the abundant life God designed specifically for me. I break every agreement I have unconsciously made with limitation, with hiddenness, with the insidious lie that I am meant only to carry burdens but never to arrive in fullness. I release the desperate need for validation from those who were never sent nor equipped to understand the divine scope of my assignment. I surrender my mind, this extraordinary God-built, heaven-wired, divinely purposed mind, fully and without any condition whatsoever to the one who masterfully created it. I trust that my brilliance is not a burden, but a profound blessing, and it is meant to be shared openly and freely. I step forward today, not when the external conditions are perfect, not when everyone around me finally understands, not when the pervasive fear has completely vanished. I step forward now. Because I am chosen, I am divinely equipped. I am eternally seen and cherished by heaven, and I am unequivocally ready. If this message resonated deeply within you, if it confirms something your spirit has known for a long time, do not let this sacred moment simply pass. Do not hesitate to go deeper. Everything you need for this next transformative chapter, the divine blueprint, the essential guidance, the profound revelation of precisely why your life has unfolded exactly the way it has, is waiting for you, lovingly prepared in the first pinned comment. Share this with someone whose brilliant light the world has tried to silence, someone whose unique mind has been dimmed by misunderstanding. They need to hear this liberating truth today.